Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, Justin Verlander and Kate Upton went to a pirate festival together. What happened the last time you went to a pirate festival?
Tony Kornheiser. I got kicked out for grabbing too much booty.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's against all kinds of HR policies. You can't do that.
Booty,
not even in the pirate workplace.
Booty is treasure. Booty is treasure.
That's not what I was thinking.
Mr. Boutte. Treasure. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, big hits in the Pro Bowl, a bad weekend for Tiger Woods, and Boston welcomes back Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. But we begin today with the first shot fired in PTI's Super Bowl week, plausibly live from Washington, D.C., just 217 miles south of the Meadowlands. All right, Wilbon, your boy Woody Page of the Denver Post
Homer
says that if Peyton Manning wins this Super Bowl, he will be the best quarterback ever. Page lists of 5 MVPs, presumably including this year, the wins, and the fact that Manning holds or shares 55 regular season and postseason records, including most touchdowns and most yards in a single season. Wilbon, are you with your boy?
No, Woody writes his column because he lives in Denver, and he's lived there much of his professional life. And I understand
longer than Manning.
I understand why you would sort of do this. It's a good pat on the back. Peyton Manning doesn't need any boosterism. He's Peyton Manning. He's one of the greats of all time.
Yes,
see, here's the problem. When you have a guy who's your peer, don't give me Michael Jordan and Bill Russell, because they played in vastly different eras. Woody tries to run that past somebody, not getting past me. When you play at a time where your rival has more Super Bowl appearances and has 3 right now to your would-be 2, no, I'm not going to make that case. We don't need to make the case. Just play the game. Let Peyton Manning be great, but don't make that case.
Peyton Manning is great.
He is.
And even if he never wins another Super Bowl,
he's still great.
He's one of the greatest 5 quarterbacks of all time. And if I'm going all-time here, I got Unitas 1, I got Montana 2 on my list.
Understandable.
You know, you're right about the Tom Brady comparison. I mean,
this is the same time in the same conference.
Federer and Nadal.
It is.
One guy can't be the greatest of all time
if he can't beat
the other guy who's basically the same age and has the same opportunity that he has. I mean, and Manning is great. Manning has also had great receivers, and he's had great running backs.
He's one of the all-time.
I'm not going to knock him. I want him to win.
Look,
I want him to win.
Tony, the legacy conversation that starts already is I'm going to hate it. Because can we just enjoy Peyton Manning for what he does now? No. Legacy, as sports change, the culture changes, our emphasis change. Joe Louis, it was so much more important to this country, sports, and culturally than any quarterback of any football team. Nobody debates his legacy because they don't even know who he is unless they're 60 years old. So stop with the legacy. Just enjoy Peyton Manning and his commercials. They're funny. There was actual pro football in America last night, or reasonable facsimile. Thank you. There was a 1-point game. It featured running, throwing, actual tackling in the Pro Bowl. Josh Gordon got flipped by Braun's teammate, T.J. Ward.
Look at that.
It's all right.
No, it isn't.
Jamal Charles was surprised that Chiefs teammate Derek Johnson popped him.
Look at that.
Little helmet to helmet.
Look at that.
Defensive lineman dared hit Drew Brees. So after all the years of powder puff football, the league found so embarrassing it changed the rules. Do you now think the league will need to get rid of teammate-on-teammate crime?
Let me tell you something. For me, this is a very dangerous precedent.
Why?
If let's just say I own the Cleveland Browns, and my greatest asset is Josh Gordon. Yeah. He's flipped up in the air. He could break his back the way he lands.
Does it changes if he gets flipped by a Steeler?
It does for me because I'm paying the other guy. I'm paying both guys, and I don't really want to see that. I like the game fine.
Good game.
I'm not saying to get rid of the game. You have to have a game. I'm not sure that choosing up sides is the way to play it. But if you're saying to me that there's a reasonable possibility that we're going to gin up interest in this game by playing hard, probably a good thing.
Hitting.
I don't want both guys I'm paying crippling each other. Well, I don't.
Look, the owners had to sign off on this, and what I don't want to hear is whining that there was no hitting, and now whining that there is some hitting.
It's not whining.
It is whining.
No.
That's all it is. We've gone from the
pendulum
goes all the way back. Oh, no, wait a minute. We can't have this guy hitting that guy.
I'm okay. The guy who brought down Brees was not his teammate.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. That's football. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying that teammate on teammate causes me...
They hit during training camp?
They don't hit each other like that. It causes me a certain amount of anxiety.
Hits weren't even that hard. A guy got upended, and so he did a somersault, which, your basic fourth grader can do. And the other, Jamal Charles lowered his head. Come on. A
lot of people watched this game. Attendance was down a little bit, but they still had almost 12 million people watching. So people are going to watch.
They love it.
I'm just saying that I don't know that I want teammates hitting each other. Tiger Woods was cut from the field on Saturday night at Torrey Pines because he was god-awful on Saturday afternoon. It
was terrible.
Shooting 79.
You could have shot 79 at Torrey Pines.
I don't know. Equaling his worst score ever as a pro inside the United States. Tiger Woods was told, go home from a course where he has had enormous and lasting, almost perennial success.
Owns it.
Wilbon, what does Tiger's performance say to you?
Nothing. It's January. I happened to actually see Tiger in December, and I know that he was upbeat about sort of what he did during his off time, getting away. But yet I suspect, though he did not talk about this to anybody I know, that there was a certain fitness to him. Tony, there was talk about him getting back in the gym. He's had injuries. He knows he's getting older. How do you ward off those things? You come back to the season bigger and stronger. And so maybe you don't play as well your first time out. So what? It's the first time out. If he had won by 20 strokes, people would say, it's not a major. It's not a major.
I don't want to overreact, and I'm willing to believe that this is just rust. But I'm just going through that round a little bit on Saturday. Because he was playing, he started on the back. He got to 18, he doubled 18, he then doubled 1. He then had 5 straight bogeys. Yeah. This is terrible. A pro does not do that.
Sure they do.
No, they don't.
Sure they do.
No, pros don't have 7 straight holes.
You really want me to go through every week and find you someone who does that?
Find me a guy on Tiger Woods' level that has 7 straight bogeys or worse. And here is what I think is the problem.
What?
In the period of time since he last won a major in 2008, right there at Torrey Pines against Rocco Mediate, 19 different people have won majors. Some of them are younger guys, like Adam Scott and Rory McIlroy and Justin Rose. They're younger guys.
They're all younger.
They didn't get their brains beaten out by Tiger head-to-head. They're not as afraid of him. I would analogize.
Nothing to do with Tiger can make a putt.
I'm going to tell you,
3 putts 5 times.
I think that we're nearing that point where he's Roger Federer right now. Okay. He's capable of greatness in short bursts, and he may not be able to beat everybody and win. May not. And he's the best player.
You know what? I'm not ready to declare that off of the third week of January.
And I give you that. I give you that. I'd never bet against him. I'm not sure I'd bet on him.
Little sample size. Let's get to the NBA, Tone. Carmelo Anthony, your boy, is still being toasted in New York City for his record-setting 62-point game Friday night. Then follow-up 35-point game yesterday to beat the Lakers. But he's in the news elsewhere because there's talk now he's leaning toward leaving the Knickerbockers after the season when he's a free agent, and that the Chicago Bulls are of more interest to him than the Lakers. Tony, if you're Melo, would you leave New York? And if you're the Knickerbockers, would you try and trade him before he could leave?
If I were Carmelo Anthony, I would leave New York. I would.
Wait.
I would leave New York. If I were Carmelo Anthony.
You're a New Yorker.
Yeah.
And you always say, wait a minute, there's no place like playing there.
He's not a New Yorker.
Playing in the Garden.
He's from Baltimore and he's from Syracuse. He's not a New Yorker, so stop. I don't want to hear this nonsense.
Why?
He's going to be 30 years old in May. They have a terrible team around him. It will take 2 or 3 years before they are legitimate contenders with teams like Indiana getting better and better and better to win a championship. So if I'm Carmelo Anthony, I don't think I'm going to win a championship
trade him for the Knicks? Try to trade him?
If the Knicks have terrible ownership and management, but I think they have to think about it. And you know what I think? I think that when he got 62, he had heard all this talk about being traded, and he said, you want to see what I got? I'm going to show you tonight what I got. I'm going to throw a lot. And I don't understand why Mike Woodson pulled him out of that game with 7 minutes to go.
He could have had 70. To get hurt.
Really?
Let me say this, Tony.
Why? Because he was going to get upended like Josh Gordon?
I think this now becomes the new Dwight Howard storyline for this year. We're going to be talking about this all the time. Is Melo going to go? Is he going to stay?
He says he's going to go.
Based on the no, he doesn't.
He says I'm entertaining free agency.
Entertaining doesn't mean I will go. It means I'm listening. Now, and he's not Dwight Howard. He knows there are advantages to staying in New York. Dwight Howard needed to get the hell out of Los Angeles because it didn't suit him. But it was interesting. I was in Chicago yesterday, and every story there was about how he could join the Bulls and how they could clear the remaining cap space. I think all of this is premature. I think we have to see how the Knickerbockers do first. They're going to make the playoffs. What happens if they finish 6th and beat the 3rd seed and win a series? Melo leave then?
Good, you're dreaming. He takes 30 shots a game. He's like Allen Iverson. He's a shooting machine. It's tough to incorporate him into another team. But if I were he, I would think about leaving. Marcus Smart, who garnered a lot of praise for staying for his sophomore season at Oklahoma State, had a meltdown on Saturday against West Virginia. Smart fouled out, started kicking chairs, walked off briefly after a 4-point game against an 11-8 team. Afterwards, Smart tweeted, quote, "Today was not one of my proudest moments. I lost my composure and left my team hanging. It won't happen again, and I apologize to my team," unquote. Wilbon, will this bad behavior hurt Smart in the draft?
Helps him. Because what I saw here is that I would like to see the frustration of another team choking him off and not letting him do what he wanted to do. This is why you stay in college and learn how to not just play basketball, but deal with certain situations emotionally, intellectually as it pertains to basketball, and then coming back, not with something written by the SID, but what sounds like his own apology saying, you know what? That was pretty bad, all right? And I like the apology. And so now you go out and get better. You learn how to rely on your teammates and use them in college. This is why you stay in college.
He stayed in school because he thought he wasn't a good enough shooter to go to the NBA. He wanted to work on his shooting. Lately, his shooting has been very bad. He's 9 of his last 32. He's 3 of his last 15 from 3. So he may be particularly frustrated right now. If this is the one incident, I don't think it particularly hurts him. But if a pattern were to develop, if he were to do this again and again, and then he would be seen as an egotistical player because when things went badly, he would have a meltdown.
Done it again and again.
Well, this is his second year.
I'm sorry, two full years. He hasn't done it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. If this is it, I think he's fine.
But the point is, Tony, I think this is a learning situation. We talk about all the time guys leaving and going in 1 year. Now, you're not going to give this kid some credit for staying and working his way through a tough spot?
You must not listen. I just said if he doesn't.
We haven't mentioned Marshall Henderson much, if at all, this season, which is probably a good thing for college basketball. But we do now because he's at the center of an apology. Mississippi State coach Rick Ray cursed at Henderson at the end of Saturday's game, then apologized yesterday saying, quote, "There is no reason for a coach to ever have interaction with an opposing player, ever, regardless of the circumstances. I was totally at fault," close quote. Knowing Henderson's antics as we do, Tony, should the coach have even apologized for his bleep you?
He dropped the F-bomb on the kid. He absolutely has to apologize. He's the coach at a university. Now, he's an adult. He has to apologize. And if he doesn't apologize, then the president of that university is going to have to apologize. The coach at Mississippi State did exactly the right thing in what he was supposed to do.
He did. That's very nice what you just described. Yeah. I wouldn't apologize at all. Because Marshall Henderson is an irritant who specifically asks for it. He gets up in people's faces and he says, "Curse me, give me the finger." And you know what?
That's fine.
He's 23 years old. This is not high school. He's not somebody's 17-year-old baby. He's a grown man who can vote and go off to war and do anything else grown men can do. And you know what? If I was his coach, I'd have cursed him too. Because he behaves like, you know what he behaves like.
And
so, you know, if he
then the president of your school would have told you to apologize.
Okay, but I'd have done it
and
then.
you would have. Let's take a break. Coming up, did someone get to the outspoken Richard Sherman? We will ask Peter King.
Morty would have made me apologize.
Yes.
And later, Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce return to Boston.
You're the adult.
You're right. I agree with you.
The Super Bowl is just 6 days away, so let us spend 5 good minutes with our main man from the MMQB.com, Mr. Peter King. Let's start with this. Did someone get to Richard Sherman? Has he been muzzled up? What's the deal, Peter?
No, I just think he had a chance to filter his thoughts and to fly across the country, Tony, and spend 6 hours basically thinking of exactly what he wanted to say. I thought it was hilarious. The Daily News on the back page called him the mouth that bored. And a lot of people were saying, who is this guy? But I think that a week ago was a little bit more of the exception and not the rule. Not that Richard Sherman doesn't talk like that on the field. He does. But I'm not sure that he talks like he talked to Aaron Andrews in public very much.
Peter, let's look at an actual matchup. I can't believe I'm saying that. But Peyton Manning against the Seattle secondary. I think that's what people are going to examine more closely than any of the other matchups this week because novices can get in on that one. How do you see that playing out?
I think it's going to be really tough for Peyton. A couple of reasons, Mike. He's never faced any of the 8 players on the Seattle roster right now in the secondary, not a one. The last time he played the Seahawks was in 2009, and none of the current guys on the field for Seattle were even in the league at that point. So what he's going to have to cope with is Cam Chancellor, a huge safety coming down and potentially shutting down Julius Thomas. If they line up Demaryius Thomas opposite Richard Sherman. Now, Richard Sherman will consistently be the left cornerback for Seattle. And if they line up Demaryius Thomas there, it's probably going to be fairly much a shutdown mode right there. So now you have to say, can Andre Caldwell, Jacob Tamme, Eric Decker, and Wes Welker be enough to beat the other guys in this secondary? And by the way, there's some quality guys in that secondary, obviously. So I think it's going to be difficult for Manning. I'm picking Denver, but I think it's really going to be close.
The long-range weather forecasts are still in play because it's 6 days, but they seem to be moderating for the weekend, not what it's going to be, on Tuesday and Wednesday when it's going to be 7 degrees or something like that. So what is the feeling in the NFL offices about a cold weather game? How concerned are they right now that cold will really affect this game?
Well, Tony, never has heard a discouraging word and never has been heard a discouraging word. Once they decided to put the game in New Jersey, they knew that there was a good chance that it was going to be a lousy weather day and very, very cold. It looks like they could escape and get pretty lucky. But I've always thought all along that the biggest danger here, other than for, sort of the competitive balance, the biggest danger to me is that, and danger is the wrong word, but the biggest problem is 65,000 people. Basically, you've got to get there 2 to 3 hours ahead because of the massive security at a Super Bowl. So you're potentially outside for 7 hours in weather that it could be very, very bad. And that's one of the reasons why I've never thought an outdoor northern Super Bowl is a good idea.
Peter, the discouraging word is heard right here out of your boy Kornheiser, who is fretting about this like it's going to be a hurricane coming through his backyard.
Not a hurricane.
But let's
move
cold. On.
It's going to affect the game.
Oh, cold in New York in January. What a stunner.
It's going
what a stunner that is.
It's going to be harder on the team that passes than the team that defends.
Poor baby.
But also, Tony, the whole key thing is if Peyton Manning gets a 20-mile-an-hour wind day, that's a lot worse than a 20-degree day. Everybody's always said that, Peyton's not very good in the cold. Well, Peyton's not very good right now in the wind. He doesn't have the arm that he used to have because of the 4 neck procedures. I would not be worried about cold. I would only worry about a gusty day on Sunday.
Peter, thank you so very much.
Thank you,
Wilbon
Peter.
Won't say this.
Stay warm.
Yeah, we're going to go up there. I'm going to bring a heavy coat.
You're so cold.
I'm going to bring a heavy
coat. You see, Peter's teeth
it's
are chattering.
It's a beautiful, beautiful week up here.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for that.
Thank you. See you at the party. We're taking a break. When we come back, a PTI tribute to that dope who dunked himself.
Plus, 2 outdoor hockey games, 3 celebrity friends hanging out together. Peter, his teeth are chattering. You see how cold he is?
It's going to be cold, Mike. But you know what? In Chicago, they just closed the schools today because it was cold. Happy time, people. Happy 53rd birthday yesterday, Wayne Gretzky. The great one dropped the puck on the Ducks-Kings outdoor game at Dodger Stadium on Saturday. Attendance 54,000. The NHL had another outdoor game yesterday. Rangers-Devils at Yankee Stadium. Attendance 50,000. At that game, losing goalie Marty Brodeur called the ice, quote, the worst ice I ever played on, unquote.
Wayne Gretzky, for my money, is not celebrated enough by the NHL. Nicest guy in the world, greatest player ever, period.
Happy anniversary to this member of the Suns dunk team. On this day 2 years ago, you jumped off a trampoline and dunked yourself through the rim. We have no idea if that was intentional or not, and honestly, we don't care.
I sort of care. But if you're going to be at the Suns arena, the gorilla, seeing the gorilla there, he's the best dunker. You need these guys flying off trampolines. The gorilla goes off the floor.
Happy trails to Boston again for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. The great Celtic stars were cheered warmly and often in their first game back in Boston as members of the Brooklyn Nets. Pierce and Garnett did not score a lot of points, but their team won for the 5th time in a row and 10th in their last 11.
They're coming. So you jumped off too early. They look like now they can make some noise in the East. You want to jump back on?
Nobody saw me jump off.
I saw you jump off.
Nobody. Time to find out we messed up, reality.
Why are you guys talking about jump-offs? Steve Nash was scheduled to practice for the Lakers today. Guess what? He did not practice. Tweaked his back. He may practice Thursday. Team hasn't ruled him out for Friday. Also, Jason Collins will be Michelle Obama's guest at the State of the Union tomorrow night.
Very good.
You can go to the State of the Union? Have you been invited? Big finish. Here we go. The Ravens hired Gary Kubiak to be their offensive coordinator. Big deal.
In the Kubiak household, and yeah, I mean, Baltimore wants to get back to that point. It'd be good for Kubiak if he could. Ryan Braun says he's confident he'll be better than he's ever been. Are you?
No. Why would you? The guy juiced up and was great. Why would you be confident?
I hope. Twice.
Diego Maradona says Pelé will always be the second best soccer player to him. Do you agree with that?
Maradona, great player. Fat fraud comes to mind as well. Kobe Bryant, Meryl Streep, Fitty took a picture together. This one's the Lakers-Knicks game. Who's the biggest star?
I'm old, and I watch a lot of movies, so Meryl Streep is 1 and Kobe is 2 for me, but I could see that being
in Asia, South America, who would be known as?
Kobe, I believe. Last one, Kevin Durant has scored 30-plus in 10 straight games. Do I hear 11?
I don't see the members of the Atlanta Hawks in Oklahoma City stopping Mr. Durant from going to say 38.
We're out of time. We'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow.